From the peaceful Balkan and Anatolian lands to the Central Asian steppes and into Siberia, we've created the ultimate economic superpower with 50 million Muscovite pops in just 1716. This is the final part in my Russian saga, where I try my best to min-max with what I had population-wise, and we've quadrupled our economy, got a million standing army. Now, if you enjoy this video or you find that you learned something from it, then consider subscribing. Would really help out the channel massively. Before we properly start the video, I also want to take a second to say thank you very, very much for helping me reach 250,000 subs. I never expected I'd get to this amount of subs ever on this channel, and I'm honestly very surprised that you guys enjoy my content in the first place. I don't know why, you're freaking crazy, clearly, but thank you, really. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really cannot use any words to describe how much it means to me. So before we give a little bit of a rundown of our current situation in 1648, I want to mention a few things because I've seen some people very passionate about the game commenting about some mistakes I made earlier in the first couple of parts for this particular run. I just want to say, this is my very first attempt in more than a month as Muscovy, and I know I've had some mistakes I've done, but the truth is, instead of reloading the game and having a perfect game, I chose to continue with those mistakes and try and fix them. But at the same time, I didn't super min-max. That is true. I am aware that by 1648, I should have about 30 million population instead of 22 million. So I haven't been playing as efficiently, and I probably should have a lot more tax base as well. Probably twice as much. I have 10,000. I should have like 30,000, really 3 times more. I haven't done all that because I can still basically win any engagement against the AI. I got like my own little roleplay things, like making everything Muscovite and Orthodox. That's kind of like my main thing. That's why I've been asking my cabinet members to convert stuff rather than having them on reducing inflation and such, right? Which would make me a lot more money and would be more beneficial. But considering that you guys care about this so much and you're passionate about it, I will do my best in this part of the campaign to play a lot more efficiently. And you might as well consider this as sort of a saving your ruined campaign sort of video, where we're gonna save this ruined Muscovy campaign and do better. Okay, so let's start by showing off what I'm doing with my cabinet members right now. I got one of them on reducing inflation, which allows me to mint a lot more than I was able to mint before, because we get another minus 0.06. I was not doing that before, so I was missing out on about 300 ducats or so. All the other guys are on various prikazi cabinet actions, as well as on promoting institutions, so we can spam the new ones in our capital. And we've got one on strengthening government, because remember, strengthening government allows you to pay less for cost of court. By default, the way this works is if you manage to cover the cost of court with the various interactions and modifiers, you technically could pay 0 for your cost of court. If I didn't have this particular cabinet member in strengthening government right now, I would pay about 1,000 ducats. So we are literally saving about 500 ducats every month from having one cabinet member assigned to strengthening legitimacy. You might have also noticed when you only have 900 from trade income, that is a big problem actually. So that's because I haven't really been focusing on building up my trade empire, quote unquote. I only have 700 marketplaces and 300 merchant quarters. I will upgrade all the marketplaces. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to use my money for now, and then I'm going to build more marketplaces to max them out. Technically, I should be getting 3,000 to 4,000 from trade income in 1620s, about 20 years ago. So yeah, I am aware that's a big issue, and we'll be fixing that ASAP. Now, aside from that, as you probably saw earlier, pretty much all of our subjects, with a couple of exceptions, are Muscovite and they are Orthodox. So they're working on making more Orthodox Muscovite pops around us. I am going to be also pushing into Chagatai, finish what's left there, and attack Akshika, which is a breakaway nation that managed to get its independence out of the Timurids. They are also Khwarezmian, but they're Sunnis. Remember, we made the Timurids Orthodox, so half of the Timurids were not on board with Orthodoxy. They broke away, but we'll attack them to make them Orthodox also. Another issue is that I'm not able to explore this area because I released you on previously before I finished exploring everything. So yeah, we're gonna have to attack Chagatai or someone, grab those lands so we can, before releasing any subjects, explore the entirety of Asia and see what's actually happening there. We do know that U is pretty massive, 18,000 tax base, 1.8 million population, or better yet army, so we're gonna have to fight them. But we still need to do a little bit of border managing here, get a little bit more of Sweden, chomp into the Commonwealth, the Hungarians, get all of the Balkans, which is rightfully ours, and push the Mamluks and the Sultan Sultanate of Jairids out of Anatolia. Make sure we make Anatolia Orthodox again too. Now my economic correlance here is actually doing super good, but the truth is that I should have one of these core centers where we have all of our economy based in every single one of the markets. That's another issue that I've done in this campaign. I haven't really been properly managing it, because every single market center around it, like the main cities around, should have really good tax base. And eventually, once we have our proximity better propagated because of the modern roads, which we're going to get in a few years, that should boost us to a lot more control all over the country, so we'd be able to make significantly more money. But even before the control, we can still make a lot of money from trade if we have the goods available in these trade economic hubs, which we don't have because I haven't really been focusing on that too much. So I'm going to fix that, of course. I will start with Bizert and this particular market, because there are a lot of goods in this area here that we can make a buttload of money out of by trading it outside of there. So we need to start making our trade networks booming between our markets. That's going to be my main priority right now. Also, we are 10 years into the court and country disaster, and we've got 80 absolutism, which means that technically we could literally get rid of this disaster right now if we just do one thing: revoke some privileges. This will be very painful, but I can just revoke a few more privileges. That will increase our crown power, hopefully enough to where we get 60.9 crown power and we get rid of the disaster significantly faster. That means we can tax our estates 10% more, and rebels are less likely to join rebellions or have a higher threshold of joining it. I'm going to start by revoking the privileges for the cheaper ones. So that is the nobility. It will piss the shit out of the nobility, so keep that in mind. So after 1 month, we of course get a civil war, which means we got to get rid of these disloyal nobles. We are going to take advantage of this little rebellion, and we're going to continue to revoke more privileges. Revoking the rest of the privileges from the burghers would actually be better, because we get more crown power like that. But we're going to revoke the ones from the clergy, because they cost less stability per privilege to revoke. There you go. Now we have less than 12 privileges. So after 1 month, if we've got enough crown power, we should be able to get rid of the court and country disaster. There we go, boys. Triumph indeed. Legitimacy will now grant more crown power due to our success in the court and country disaster, and we lose the absolutist influence in the government, which lowers satisfaction equilibrium by 15%. We have gained victorious. As for the rebellion, it's fairly easy to get rid of them. It's just a matter of time, really. It's a bit time consuming to go from one location to another, but we do outnumber them like 10 to 1, so it's not an issue. I had a bit of a thought about this, and I believe that maybe when you have a rebellion in your country, they shouldn't grab locations that have castles in them, because technically a castle is how your country in those particular time periods would enforce its authority, right? So that technically would not rebel, or it would be very difficult for that one to rebel out of your country in a civil war. I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't allow castles to rebel, or better yet, locations that have castles. Also, remember how I said earlier we're going to change some legislations? One of these changes will be the unitary administration that gives minus 2.5 proximity cost. Of course, the absolute rulership is not bad also for the crown power, but honestly, it's between unitary administration and federate state, which gives 2.5 estate satisfaction. Both of them are extremely good. We've only upgraded about 200 or so of the marketplaces and built a few more merchant quarters, and we already went up to 1,300 in trade income. 400 increase in like a couple of months is crazy. We also can get more levels of our construction center now, so we're gonna max that out, especially around the core areas. But like I said earlier, we're not gonna do it only here. We're gonna start doing this all over the country, because this is an especially important building to allow us to snowball even faster. Now, I have been recruiting a few more soldiers. We've got 4 armies of roughly about the same amount of soldiers, and that means we now have gotten back the military hegemony from the Great Wu. Orissa took our diplomatic reputation hegemony, so we're gonna have to make up for that one. Also, we're not able to fully tax some of the estates because we just don't have enough satisfaction, because remember, we canceled a lot of privileges. The truth is, it's not the worst thing giving out some privileges back after the court and country disaster, especially privileges that overall help your country out. I'm going to give the Religious Advisory Council first off for the church with the strengthened faith, and of course the religious literacy rights. That's an extra 15% in essence that we'll be able to tax our clergy extra. We're going to also give back the common militia for the peasantry, and heck, even the hunting permits, not the worst one. We also got to give some stuff back to the nobility, so elite councils is the middle ground here, alongside nobility controlled serfdom. The Riad is also pretty good, of course. That's a unique Muscovite one. And to balance out the Riad, we could give out manorial courts, which in turn lowers efficiency of cabinet, but allows us again to tax them 5% more, and it increases the maximum taxation for nobles by another 5%. So overall, this is what I'm going to do right now. This is pretty much all the privileges I've given out. It means we're down to 59 legitimacy, so it's going to take a while before we're able to actually make a bit of extra bucks out of this. But after we unpause, we instantly see that now we made an extra 600 ducats from all the extra taxation we're doing. I am noticing that Wu is starting to get a lot of rebellions against it, so fingers crossed this keeps on happening and they keep on losing tax base, or at least stagnating, which seems to be happening right now. They're still at 20,000, whilst we went up to 11,000 already and growing at a very steady pace. Ah, yes, another unique Russian building. The Greek Latin Academy will be built, and this gives max literacy of all of the stratas, plus artist monthly start chance plus 15%, and some push towards spiritualism. Absolutely delicious and unique flavor, which I wish we had some more of for the Germans. Did I mention that before? We're also very close now to embracing the institutions. We got 26% spread. Actually, we can embrace manufactories. We just need to save up some money. Okay, we can do that. Same with scientific revolutions. So we just need some more cashio, basically. Both of these are absolutely massive, but getting the minting office from the manufactories is the most important, because minting office increases maximum control by 5%. At the same time, from a scientific revolution, we get the modern road, one of the most important things to push for, of course. So I guess we're gonna go for scientific revolution just so we get that modern road ASAP. We're gonna queue up the modern road straight right there. Sooner we get this, the better, so we get more proximity all around the country. And we can also queue up the extra government reform. I'm about to enforce my peace deal on the Mamluk Sultanate. I could technically go for a longer war. I still have quite a bit I could possibly take. However, I need to be out of this war ASAP, because I am also in the times of trouble disaster. I was unfortunate because I got a couple of really bad events in a row, which pushed me below the stability threshold, and it triggered the disaster. Because of that, all estates give minus 25 satisfaction. So because of that, and because of the monthly legitimacy reduction, economically we are fugged. To get rid of this, we need to either wait for 15 years and it goes out by itself, or we need to get 38 stability. So I'm maximum investing in stability right now, and I also have one of my cabinet members assigned to increasing stability. It goes up by 0.12 from the cabinet member itself. Now, despite taking all that, nobody actually gives much of a schnitzel, because everybody loves us, and this is the Mamluks, the most hated nation in the Middle East, pretty much. It's a good thing we took it to, because if we go at the cultural map mode, we see that most of Anatolia is actually beginning to be lower Egyptian. They are in fact converting stuff to lower Egyptian, so we got to make sure that doesn't happen. It is still a pretty cluster schnitzel of culture, so we will have to convert the soul to the right culture. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to release a custom subject in Constantinople, and let that particular subject, which is Turkish apparently, because that's the primary culture here, we can give it a couple of the provinces around, I guess, maybe the one in Kocaeli, and we will have to enforce Muscovite, because we cannot accept them to have that culture. We'll wait a little bit though, because after you make a subject, I probably should have mentioned this in the past, but after you make a subject, the first thing they're going to do with their cabinet members is they will integrate whatever provinces you gave them. So if you enforce culture too early, they will not use their cabinet members for that. They will just integrate. That's their number one priority, and by the time they finish integrating their provinces, they might just switch back to whatever culture is the majority culture in their country. So that's why you want to wait a little bit after you make a subject, just saying. Alternatively, you could also release some historical subjects if you want, which should have integrated provinces. So in the case of, who could we release here? Bulgaria. Let's say we release Bulgaria, right? These guys are likely going to have this as integrated. Yes, they you go. They are integrated provinces. So we could instantly, if we wanted to, enforce culture, and they will use their cabinet members to make sure they change to that particular culture, everything. So I just realized I gave this to Hungary. So Hungary occupied this island in the war, and I gave it to them, although I wanted that. So that's a little bit of an issue there, Hungary. We're gonna have to have a bit of chat about this. Now, I am at the same time annexing a lot of my subjects. I want to basically have most of the actual directly owned areas in Russia, because we're about to get modern roads, and with modern roads, oh my god, is my proximity going to insanely expand everywhere, and I really mean everywhere. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. We're gonna get ridiculous amounts of prosperity. Take note, some of the areas you're not able to build a modern road. That's because there's not enough specific goods in that area, in that market. So in this case, there's no sand in this particular market, in the Tambov market. So for us to expand modern roads there, we would have to make sure we have sand available. In fact, for most of this area, there's no sand available. That is a bit of a surprise. It means I'm gonna have to build up some of the sand pits in these lands. There you go, our very first modern roads. Curious who else has modern roads already. Probably no one. No, my subjects already have modern roads. Oh my god, I've actually been outshined by my own subjects. This is just embarrassing. Oh, this is huge. So we actually could release one Greek Orthodox subject in Anatolia. I'm not going to enforce culture in these guys because I kind of want to preserve Greek culture, at least in this little pocket, if nothing else. Oh, Smyrna is also still Greek. Wow, that's actually a majority Greek here, so that's really, really huge. Let's give Smyrna the islands, I guess, around, and maybe even Saruhan too. This might make them flip over to Turkish culture, so I got to be careful because there is a majority Turkish in Saruhan mixed in with Lower Egyptian. There's literally no Greeks left in all of these lands. That's sad. Guess maybe we could do one more Greek in the northern province here, whatever this is called, Kayseri or something of the sorts. Biga, okay. No, Biga's Lower Egyptian. What? Oh god, no. Speaking of weird cultures, just take a good gander at the southern Greeks here. We got Catalans in Attica and Boeotia. We got freaking Francians in the Peloponnese. This is just wild to see. Oh, we got Poitevin in Cyprus. Classic. Speaking of, the Kingdom of Cyprus exists. I kind of believe that they maybe were released in a war by someone against the Mamluks. Maybe they got released by the Georgians. I don't know. Also, with the societal law here for press, I prefer to go for the free press. It does lower my crown power by 10%, but max literacy for the whole country plus 10% is absolutely massive. That being said, make sure you have enough push towards absolutism so you don't lose your 100 push to absolutism if you're in this situation. Only 10 liberalism push is not enough to make us lose any absolutism. And seeing as I'm not able to just colonize everything here because I'm a poo-poo brain and I didn't get my provinces earlier, I think I'm just gonna steal the freaking provinces. So you can, and once you have 40 spy network, you can steal the maps. It does take a while though because you got to build up the network and then the spy might be discovered, but we can do it with multiple nations at the same time. So that way we can steal a little bit quicker. And look at that, boys. Our entire industrial core is upgrading now to modern roads. And seeing as we have a follow through on Threadcast's belly, we can use that to attack once more the two Sicilies and completely push them out of the Balkans. We unlocked our 7th government reform slot. Guys, I'll be honest, there's so many freaking amazing reforms. Like max literacy plus another 5% would be absolutely huge, since again it would allow us to get more technology quicker. Loyalty of subject plus 15%, not opinion. This one in particular is good because in the next stage, the Age of Revolutions, what happens is we get loyalty of subject reduced, and we do have about 54 subjects right now. Of course, these are mostly in the Balkans and they're small, so they're easy to annex, and by the Age of Revolutions we will have all of this already fully annexed by that point. So I'm not really concerned about subjects loyalty right now, but that is on the table if need be. Also take note, if you want to cheese things, you could go for the monthly legitimacy and you can double down on this with some other legislations and a few other things, and then you could basically get above 1 legitimacy investment. So in essence, you would pay 0 for cost of court, which means instead of wasting 2,000 ducats, what we're doing now, we would pay nothing, because there's another reform here a little bit down, the Eastern Court, or whatever it's called, Eastern Roman Court, that gives another 0.10 monthly legitimacy. With every other thing that we've added, it will literally push us over the 1 threshold, so we wouldn't pay for anything. However, I'm not gonna go for that now. I could also go for maximum taxation plus 5%, because because I would be able to tax all of my estates more. So that's like literally thousands of ducats. I am thinking very much so about the literacy though. That would push us to about 65% literacy, give or take, overall. So that would allow us to get about close to 3 monthly resource progress. Production efficiency plus 2.5 is also absolutely massive, guys. Absolutely massive. So maybe I'm actually going to go for the production efficiency just to test it out, because I haven't really tested properly scaling up with the production efficiency in the late game. So this might actually turn out to be the better option. Wait, what the schnitzel? I got a union over Cyprus? My brother. Okay, interesting. Okay, they're willing to give us exactly what we need. So we're not going to expand outside of the Balkans. I'll be super honest. I don't intend on going anywhere outside of the Balkans. This is the extent of my borders. Literally the Balkans, Eastern Europe. So maybe we'll take like this stuff, I guess, which would be our historical borders. The Anatolian parts, and of course. But right now, main focus is going to be on the Egyptians to get them out of Anatolia. So we're not doing any more wars against Europe at all for the next foreseeable future. And I'm also going to start preparing myself for the war with Wu. So we're going to have to double down on soldiers. But we also need to make sure we get out of the times of trouble before we do that war. Holy schnitzel. We actually can release the Romans. So the Eastern Roman Empire is officially our subject. They don't really have many of their cores. Actually, only core they have is in Astros itself. But they are an empire rank. That's kind of funny. So they can have extra cabinet members. All right, we got enough now to steal one map from this little nation here. I think I'm gonna go for something that's on the border that I would have an interest in mostly. Amdo or Anabir? I think Anabir maybe? Yeah, screw it. There you go. Now we know a little bit more of the northern part. Unfortunately, the diplomat in Great Wu was discovered, which it's something that happens a lot, to be fair. So it's better to just send a few diplomats to spy on a few different nations, I guess. And maybe nations that are not your rivals, because if it's your rivals like Wu, it's likely that they might find the spy a little bit easier. So we are literally 2 stability points away from getting rid of the times of trouble disaster, and apparently we got the worst ticking event from that disaster, insanity. So what happens now is we can choose to make Nazari our new Tsar, and he's 190 to 100. This is probably one of the best leaders we could possibly get our hands on. He is insane. However, if we do that, we lose the Rurikovich family, and this guy has no spouse, no children. We'd have to start from 0 with him. Or if we keep our Tsar, he gets insanity until he dies, crown power reduced, diplo admin military ability reduced, but he's pretty old, so he's probably gonna die soon. Unfortunately, it does mean we lose 20 freaking stability. It's very, very sad. Honestly, very sad. Our heir is not bad. It's not as good as the new guy, Nazari here, but he's still part of the Rurikovich family. That's kind of the main thing here, the fact that it's the Rurikovich family. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna be schlapping me for doing this. Oh, but take a good look here. The Rurikovich family is absolutely massive. Just look at the family tree. This freaking thing is insanely huge. I mean, insanely huge. We currently have 39 out of 469 souls that have ever existed here. So that's a lot of family members we can use to assign in different positions to get crown power. Like, we can have some of our family members assigned as admirals, generals, in cabinet, etc. Also, I love the fact that it says the one that founded the dynasty is Hrorik Hroriksson, who's Swedish Norse. This happened in 789, and he dies at the age of 49. Yes, that is basically it. He was the Viking that established the Russian nation in the city of Novgorod. It sucks, man. It really sucks. Losing power, losing stability, but I'm gonna keep the Rurikovich simply because I don't want to lose my good dynasty. That guy really would have been way better, though, to be fair. Now, if you are playing and you're in that situation, you probably want to go for the other guy, because that's clearly the better option. I just did this from an RP perspective. I stayed with the Rurikovich. Alright, boys, so we're now in 1683. We're far from the times of trouble, and we've integrated a few more subjects. Still in the process of integrating a lot more. In fact, I think I'm going to be integrating Bratislavos, well, in a few moments when I get an extra diplomat. The Balkans is looking pretty pretty good. We've enforced culture on quite a few of them already, but we've also preserved some of them with their original culture, and some of them are currently working on making this area orthodox than anything else. We have 54 million Orthodox in the world. We've done a little bit more expansion in the Middle East, but we did lose Oirats, man. I have no clue how this happened. I was not notified. I just looked and this thing was here. I don't even know what this is. Buren. And it's sad because they were in the process of converting stuff to Muscovite. So yeah, that's just unfortunate. Economically speaking, those modern roads are helping an insane amount, and I really mean an insane amount. We got about half of our core area upgraded to modern roads, so we're working on doing that ASAP. To put things into perspective here, we also have almost the entirety of the main core upgraded to cities, so we're going to do the same with all the other locations that have the ability to be upgraded to cities. We're not even doing it with our cabinet member. By default, population is growing at such a high speed that a lot of these locations are easy to be upgraded to cities. I am thinking to make more cities even outside of this core area, because look at our proximity. This is proximity with modern roads, guys, to put things into perspective, okay? This is not railroads. This is modern roads. It is insane to see how much proximity we have. We're gonna get even up to here like 50% proximity once we build roads, because there's literally not a single road going into there, unfortunately. Well, modern road, that is. This is where our economy tab looks like. We got 16,000 tax base, but because of how we're ruling our country, we're paying almost nothing for cost of court when you guys are paying a lot. That's because of all the advances, and because we even have our cabinet member assigned to lowering the cost of court, and all of the different modifiers that chip in basically make this super cheap. If I was to take away all of that, I'd pay about 4,000 on cost of court, so I'm obviously going to keep my advisor and everything else on there, so we don't need to pay 4,000 on that. And we're taxing a decent amount everybody as well, including a good 64% tax for the clergy. It's kind of wild. We are a little bit lacking with minting, I'm not gonna lie. This is the most disappointing part, but the truth is, as the Russians, gold is always going to be an issue, gold and silver, so that is what it is. Similarly, we are paying a big amount on making sure people don't starve, but it is worth it even though it's quite expensive. I could fix this technically by just upgrading a little bit more my RGOs. I probably should have done that a while back. Just get all of these one hefty upgrade, especially the ones in the south here. We've got so many livestock RGOs in the southern areas that we can use to feed the northern areas, which don't have as many RGOs, food RGOs better yet. Population wise, we've got 16 million laborers and 7 million peasants, so clearly we're about to run out of population very soon, so we're gonna have to double down on getting pops somehow. We've got some population, big population centers. Overall though, it's a little bit weird because we got 28 million population whilst the French have 36 million. The Hungarians have 20 million, which is very, very surprising. So I'm thinking to just grab all of my Ruthenian areas, because look at this, 269,000 in Lviv, 113,000 in Halish. Yeah, I should have grabbed all 136 in Kelm. Come on, man. I should have grabbed all this a long time ago. I made a mistake allying the Hungarians, and that mistake has to be fixed because, you know, we cannot afford to not take all of this population for ourselves, basically. I'm also going to try and prioritize areas that have no roads at all. So like these little spots of green have never had a road built in them. So obviously it should be a priority for me to build at least a road there, right? Since this can lead to further good connections afterwards. Also, we've got huge shortages of tin. Tin is required by a lot of things, including the most important building I'm building right now, namely the minting office. Minting office requires gold, silver, tin, and copper, and tin is a big issue. Minting office increases maximum control by 5% and is built in towns and cities, and it also increases local grand power. So of course we want to have this everywhere built. Oh, and I probably should have shown Moscow's got 500,000 population already, which is kind of crazy. I'm also building a ton of Orthodox monasteries for that extra literacy. That's actually possible because we've got the Bolgosho Debogadidu, which gives 1.26 monthly religious influence. That's aside from all the other religious influence bonuses. So overall, we're getting 1.77 monthly religious influence. It is kind of wild. Just to see the effects of that, look at our literacy map mode. You literally see where we have the Orthodox monasteries and obviously towns upgraded and where we don't. Like, look at the difference. 80% average literacy in those lands compared to the rest. Like that's just wild. And you also see the previous Astrakhan areas that we haven't invested in at all. You literally see the borders of what Astrakhan had. That's kind of wild. Oh, and for those of you curious, there is 41 million Muscovites now when it comes to pops. So we're still behind Wu, which has 48 million and growing. And yes, we've been stealing maps quite a little bit, so we know quite a lot more of the Middle East now as consequence, and East Asia. Also, I've got a little bit of a complaint here, and I hate being that guy, but I'm literally the only nation that's been spreading New World goods to the Old World. I'm not even kidding when I say that. Like, I've not seen any other Chile provinces outside of mine, and I feel like tells me that, I don't know, maybe the AI just doesn't know how to do it. I really don't know if that's the case, but it's just weird that, look, if we go to the RGO map mode, there's no Chile, there's no tobacco, there's no cocoa, nothing, no maize around the western parts of Europe or eastern or anywhere else. Maize in particular, I should see quite a lot of it in Anatolia, because when I had my Byzantine campaign, I spammed a buttload of maize and potatoes, which really allowed me massively to get insane amounts of food and as consequence feed my population. Also curious to see who's the big dog in Egypt. So okay, it looks like the Raj of Punjab seems to be pretty decently sized, 13 million population, but they're not the big dog. I see the big dog right here, whatever this is. This is 23 million. Bundelkhand Raj. They're also Hindustani and Bundeli culture. Okay. Akshitabadu is wiping out what's left of the Timurids also. So this is the same nation pretty much. Ashtikabadu was the Timurids, but because they were Muslims, they rebelled and they made their own separate country. That being said, I had a little war against them, grabbed a bit of land, and I made them Orthodox. So now it's Orthodox versus Orthodox broskies. Both of them actively converting the Middle East to Orthodoxy for me. Thank you very much. Well, Central Asia. I also absolutely love when I expand certain goods or certain buildings in the late game, the whole country becomes embroidered in. We're attacking Poland with the follow through on threat CB so we can get the Hungarians in that war too, since Poland and Hungary is basically the same country, right? They're being ruled by the same leadership here. The oldest union in existence, in my game at least. The real goal, of course, is going to be grabbing all of the Ruthenian parts and the eastern parts of Poland so we can have all Slavic pops under one roof. These nations are not to be underestimated though. 200,000 and another 220,000. That's 500,000 soldiers they've got that are probably going to be a bit of a threat for us, because I'm pretty sure that's a pretty decent sized regular army. And oh, actually they have arquebusiers. They didn't upgrade to the H5 units yet. Okay, this is going to be a slaughter. Goes without saying, we're going to be assaulting every single fortification. I'm actually going to try and rush for the fortifications because it takes me less time to assault these forts than it does to actually occupy an unfortified location. Now, the Hungarians might not have up-to-date units, but the Poles do, and they got a wreck ton of them. I actually didn't expect this, but I'm actually losing against the Poles because I just didn't dedicate enough of my army to the Polish front. I only got like one army group there, so I'm gonna have to quickly snibbity-boo, snibbity-bay through Hungary so I can focus properly on the Hungarians and the Poles. We're trying to make a little bit of a dash here for the heartlands of Hungary so we can quickly piece them out. We're also systematically wiping out every single levy that I see from the Hungarians. How many did we wipe out already? We wiped out 177,000. That is actually insane. But they do have 500,000 soldiers in the field, so that is a pretty decent amount there. I think I'm gonna just reinforce my northern army with some more soldiers. Maybe get an extra 20 regiments in there. That should be enough to hold off the main Polish army in the northern parts. How many they got now? 159,000. They got mercenaries as well. They are full in this war, aren't they? Meanwhile, it looks like the Mamluks are wiping out what's left of the Eretnids and the Jairids, which is good for me because I got less nations to deal with then. Look at that, guys. That is a proper battle. Ironically, we got the same color, so it's a little bit difficult to note which one is which, but hey, we still won and we inflicted quite a little bit of damage on their units. The difference between us and them is that we can easily recover the units we lost, but they cannot. So they're not down to 100,000. They basically lost pretty much the entirety of their army already, and there's nothing they can do to recover from this. Meanwhile, we're still at 600,000 manpower, so we pretty much haven't gotten any sort of loss. Okay, we've got the war goal, so now we got positive war score as well. I also love the difference between our units and some of our subjects that are clearly a few ages behind. So from the first peace deal here, we're not really getting too much, unfortunately. I was expecting a lot more, but the truth is a lot of these locations are really good. We got ourselves 131,000 30,000 pops in Kelm alone, which is a pretty massive W. I would have liked to get Lviv, but I guess it's going to be in the next war. We will have to be a little bit aggressive here, and we're going to have to push for a couple of wars simultaneously, including the Egyptian and Chagatai war, because otherwise they will likely join the coalition, which they have the option of joining. So yeah, considering we're going to take even more stuff from the Commonwealth, I think half of Europe's going to be in a potential coalition against us. So maybe we can improve with the Bohemians to at least not have the Bohemians in that coalition. Also, we've been passively getting spread of knowledge of the world, so we see a little bit of what's happening in the New World. Nova Scotia is probably the biggest nation in the New World, and they are Scots primary culture, Catholic Scots to be exact. We got a big chunk of Portuguese and Castilians in South America, so that's probably the most historically accurate depiction of how colonization worked, at least in this particular campaign. It does a pretty good job of showing that. And Milan is about to be no more because the French are about to wipe them out. All right, I think we're ready with the peace deal here, boys. We're grabbing basically the eastern parts of Poland, and we're grabbing a little bit of land from the Portuguese in South America. Do I need this land? Yes, we in fact need it for strategic having reasons, the most reasons of them all. And also, I'm worried that the colony of Nova Scotia might invade South America and grab this particular land, so I'm taking it for myself so that just doesn't happen. Also, I've noticed that Achaea exists. Achaea exists because they were a rebellion of the Eastern Roman Empire, and they actually won the war. So that rebellion is not going to be long-lived, sir. Also, for those of you wondering how overpowered is Russia, well, let me introduce you to the Ostrog. What is the Ostrog? It's a unique Russian building that gives +10 maximum control in rural locations, my dude. So to put, also lower proximity cost by 10% as well, and garrison. So every single one of your rural location will have a fort and +10 max control. Holy shit. Bro, that means we're not gonna have maximum control only in our core areas to 100. It's gonna be everywhere. Okay, we've also reached the point of the campaign where we can start importing maize and cocoa. Maize in particular is extremely good because it allows us to replace some of the shittier goods like fish, which only give a little bit of food, with maize, which gives 8 units of food per maize. It is absolutely vital to spam this, especially in the areas that have almost no food, because this thing grows like crazy everywhere. So for example, we could bring that maize to the northern Russian parts, or as far north as possible, replace, say, some of this wild game here, and that way we don't have any more food issues in this area, which is pretty good. My god, I've got so many pop-ups. I really need to start fixing some of these issues. One issue, for example, is that I don't have any fleets, so that's a pretty significant issue. Actually, I should have built some fleets a while back. I just been very lazy about it. But there you go. We're gonna spam a few Karaks in the south, so at least we have some protection in the Black Sea for now. And we can also begin the next war against Mandalay and Chagatai, so we can unify the extremely annoying impassable terrain areas between us and Wu. That's tactical because we're gonna need to use this land to get to Wu. I actually never saw the 5th age units for the Mamelukes. This is really cool. Like, I genuinely really like the sprites for this. Holy shit, man. This is really awesome. We're also very close when it comes to damage, as you probably noticed, because it's pretty much the same units right now and close to the same composition. We've got a little bit of a better composition, I guess. But yeah, we're ready to peace out here. We probably want as much of Anatolia as we can get our hands on, which apparently is the entirety of Anatolia. 400 antagonism will secure ourselves a continuous coalition. I mean, this is a bit of a tough one, because it does mean we will never ever not have a coalition for the rest of the campaign. I mean, at 1690s, do I really give a shit? Nah, fuck it, let's go. All right, so we got Anatolia back. Freedom. Oh my god, look at the amount of Lower Egyptians in Anatolia. Lower Egyptian is officially the highest population group in Lower Anatolia. Oof, that is crazy. We got some Armenians though, so we're probably gonna make some subjects out of that. Maybe this area, because we might get that as a Greek, not Lower Egyptian. And also Sultan Nono will likely be Greek once we release it. Also, check it out, guys. It's almost completely completely covered in modern roads. I am in love with this. We're also basically upgrading a lot of the areas that are not yet modern roads to modern roads, of course. Feel like there's more modern roads in my games Russia than in actual IRL Russia in 2026, and I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Oh, actually, France is not in that coalition. That is really good. We're also improving with the Bohemia, so hopefully we get them out of the coalition. If, well, they're not in a coalition yet, but hopefully they don't join one is what I'm trying to say. Let's do the same with the Milanese here too. I'm okay with Jaya Ridge, Georgians, and all these scumbags joining, though I don't give much of a shit about that. I guess the only one that sucks is Wu, because Wu is the one that actually started the coalition. So yeah, we got a coalition against us. It has Timurids, Wu, and the other Timurids, Aki, Wagedugadu. Kind of ironic that the two Timurids that are fighting each other continuously managed to join arms against me. Like, what, brother? We've also established a brand new colonial nation here, and we've renamed it to the proper historical name, the Brazilian Mafia. This is gonna be an interesting one. So automatically they become Muscovite Orthodox as a colonial nation. We don't need to enforce that, but we cannot annex them. So why did I do that? I don't know. I just wanted to have a colonial nation. Everyone's got one. I want to be part of the cool kids and have one also. Another thing to note is because of all the newly conquered and created subjects in Anatolia and Asia, we're up to 74 subjects. Oh god, this is gonna be a pain, guys. This is gonna be an actual pain. Well, we knew it was gonna happen. It was just basically a matter of time. Wu has attacked us. Now the problem is that they've attacked us with the coalition Casus Belli, which is really bad for us. But at the same time, we don't really need to stress about anyone on the eastern front, with the exception of Cyprus, which for some freaking reason joined in against us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get all of our units and we're gonna go into the east so we can actually defend ourselves against Wu. We will crush Wu and we'll teach them a lesson. Now this is a show of superiority, Casus Belli. For them to get the passive war score, they would have to take Moscow, which is impossible, which means we will obviously win the war. The problem is, because it's a coalition Casus Belli, we're not going to be able to grab too much land. So if we grab, say, a little bit of Siberia here, that would be a pretty significant W. That's kind of my goal here. If I get 20 war score, I could grab, say, the Yi land, which is a decent amount. If we could push even more and maybe get into the gold mines up in the northern parts of Siberia around this area, that would be perfect, really. I'm gonna be merging all of my units in this location so I can do my army composition, and so I can make sure that I don't have some weird formations and stuff. And then once that's done, recruit a few extra units and then we can push into Wu. We currently have about 500,000 professional soldiers, but I can easily get it up to 1 million without any sort of problem. Meanwhile, Wu's got 2 million soldiers, about 300,000 professional, and the rest is levies. So if we play our cards right, we might be able to lower the population of Wu by about 2 to 3 million people by just wiping out their armies again and again, because they're gonna have a lot of levies. Boy, someone has to say it. It's going pretty freaking good. It's going a lot better than I initially expected. Look at that. We murdered 80,000 of them. This is something that's occurring a lot. I mean, a lot. Even though we lost that battle, we still killed 10,000 of their units. Look at this. We killed 500,000 Chinese whilst only losing 63,000. What the F is happening right now? And I thought that it's just a difference in units, but no. Look at that. They got musketeers, hunters, heavy lancers, basically the same units that we have. Elephant auxiliary. What even is that, brother? A level 5 supply. What on earth? Whatever the case, we're clearly winning these battles and wiping out because we're fighting levies that are significantly weaker than regulars. And we're going to continue to do that because we're up to 20 war score already. So we can already enforce stuff, but we're going to keep on going till we can actually get a decent size amount of land from the Siberian parts. It keeps happening too. Like, it really keeps happening a lot. We've wiped out so many enemies. It is insane. Looks like we got a second coalition though of Hungary so far. Surprised that the two Sicilies hasn't entered the coalition yet, but just as I said that, they're probably going to be joining it. It seems like Wu would like, I would assume, a white piece. No, we don't do that here, Wu. Now there definitely is a bit of a suicidal theme for the Wu, because they keep attacking my armies. They're down to 600,000. They literally have less than me, and just to put things into perspective, we killed 10 times more than they killed our units. Because of course we did not raise our levies, because we are not brain dead to do that. But I also want to mention here that I'm a little bit disappointed in the fact that Wu, which is obviously a very strong economy, they're up to 30,000 tax base. They only have how many units? Let's check. We can actually check from here. So we've got 700 and we got 685,000 standing army, right? They only have 100,000, 84,000. They did have about 300,000 when we started the war, so we wiped out a big chunk of that. But considering the economy that Wu has, they should really be fielding significantly more regulars. I really hope this gets addressed in the next patch and that AI builds more regular armies as time goes on and doesn't use its levies as much as it does right now, because I personally feel like that's just a really stupid thing for the AI to be doing. We got the rights of the crown now. A lot of you might say that you want to go for absolute rule, which is not the worst one, but the truth is it's always better to go for the estate satisfaction, because that's an extra 5% you can tax your estates at the cost of just not having crown members in the cabinet. We do have one crown member in the cabinet right now, but honestly, even without him, we would still be above 50% crown power, simply from the amount of crown power buildings and everything that we built around the country and from the control that we have. So I'm not too worried about the crown power right now, which is why I'm going to go for the figurehead position. Also, I think I broke the game because we killed about 500,000 more that I could count, over 919, but it just stopped counting. I don't know why. It literally stopped counting the deaths, and for some reason it shows less than the amount of deaths that I had on my side. But this is weird. And yes, Wu is actually recovering. They're down to 700,000. They went up to like 1 million at one point. They're definitely doing their best here to hold on into it, and I'm assuming they're recovering levies really quick, but we're still pretty much heavily winning, so we should be able to do a decent peace deal soonish. One more thing I have to say, it's kind of stupid that I have to figure out where exactly that location is when I'm stealing maps like a brother. That little contour around the region is not it. It really just, it's not it at all. I'm barely realizing where it is. Oh, it's Changtang, it's right there. Like, really, bro? I need I want the whole region to light up when I'm hovering over it. So we want to grab the Siberian lands here. That is 500 antagonism. Holy shit. But all of that is with the Wu, as well as with a few nations in Asia that I don't even see yet. So it's fine with me. We should have just colonized a lot faster. So lesson learned, next time I'm going to do a Russia campaign, I will rush for colonization, because otherwise the Chinese are going to grab all that stuff before me. But look at that. We got most of Siberia already. Once we figure out what's left over here, we're going to conquer that as well from, I would imagine, Wu as well. Let's continue to steal some maps. Actually, let's see if we can find maybe this one, Tuva, just so we can see the entirety of the Tuvan area. And yes, we will have to attack also Buren, because this was ours before, so it's time to reclaim it. Now let's go ahead and make some more subjects. 71 subjects we currently have, by the way, in case you're wondering. A mere 71, guys. A mere 71. That's it. No more than 71. And with all of the new Chinese subjects, we are up to 70 freaking 8. Oh god. Yeah, we're gonna have to double down and annex a lot quicker our subjects now, because we're closing in on the age of revolutions. So all of these guys here are Xinjiao religion and Wu culture. So after they've integrated their provinces, we're gonna first convert them to our religion and then convert them to our culture. Like I said earlier, the problem now though, and why I'm mentioning this again, is because if they do have rebellions, Wu will join on the side of the rebellion. So we need to make sure that they are very stable to prevent rebellions when they start converting to our culture. So we don't have to fight Wu every 5 seconds every time one of our subjects has a rebellion here. Check this out, guys. We're annexing like 4 or 5 subjects at the same time, so we're getting the multiple annexation minus 200, and we're still able to annex all of these subjects insanely fast because of the Posolsky cabinet action, the technology advances, and of course the fact that these nations are completely small compared to us and they have our culture, the dominant culture. That is is why in the late game it is super easy to annex subjects, and I highly encourage you to do so. We're basically annexing all of the rest of the Caucasus areas, and we're annexing the inward nations too, so that we can focus on the border nations close to the Commonwealth and Hungary a bit later down the line. What the schnitzel is this? These guys have a little bit of a rebellion. Looks like they need some help. Now, we might not have all of our units back to full strength because we're just short on manpower right now, like very short on manpower. We need a lot more soldiers, but because yeah, the Ming War really destroyed us. I mean, I'm sure that interface was bugged. I lost way more than 50,000. I probably lost like 700,000 myself, so I'm like 80% sure the interface was bugged. But, and I'm sure I killed more than 2 million Ming as well. Guaranteed more than 2 million. In any case, these guys are now in a coalition against us, so we're going to be attacking them with the follow-through on threat, Casus Belli, just so we can get him out of it, and we can also grab from the Hungarians what we wanted to grab initially. We can also do a quick cheeky war against the Poles, because I don't really need anything from them, to be fair. This war is primarily for us to get prettier borders against the Hungarians. Same goes with the two Sicilies. I don't really care about them at all. If anything, I want them to be semi-strong so they can have a bit of a, they can be a bit of a buffer between us and the French, I guess. So I'm going to do myself a favor and white peace the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Since we don't have anything we're going to be taking from them, is pointless dying in that particular campaign there. Well, boys, we're about to make ridiculous amounts of money because we just uncovered the lacquerware manufactory. Just look at the amount of money. Just take a second to look at the amount of money we get in profits in 3 years. 1,000 mother-freaking ducats per unit, bro. I cannot stress enough how ridiculous these things are. How abso-freaking-rutely. I'm gonna build a buttload of these, sure, because we'll have the lacquerware. It's gonna go down in price, obviously, because the demand's gonna be less, but it's still gonna be insane. And the best part is that no one in Europe has this yet, so we're gonna be able to export to the rest of the Europeans too and make insane amounts of money. Oh man, bitter cold in Moscow. Who would have thought? Let's go ahead and send some aid there. This is not great, boys. Not great at all. Truthfully, if there's one thing I absolutely despise in the current patch, is the fact that your subjects can peace out if they're disloyal separately. So we got the Bulgarians peacing out separately, the Thessalians, the Epirites. Alright, so we're ready to peace out. We're basically grabbing all of the Volhynian parts. We're giving back the lands that were stolen from Wallachia, and we're giving back the areas that our subjects lost in order to peace out the little schnitzels. Plus, I'm grabbing a tiny bit more of the coastline here, so we have more of the connection to the sea. There you go. That is a fine deal with me. This way, we've got slightly better borders, and we don't need to stress about the Western nations for a tiny while at least. Now, we need to stress about not having manpower. We have a maximum of 900,000 manpower, and we're short on manpower. This is not a massive issue, but we do need to go back to war with Wu, and as we've seen in the previous war, it's not a very easy war. If anything, it can be quite challenging from a manpower. That was the first time in the entire campaign in which I actually ran out of manpower. Like the only war I ran out of manpower. So I definitely lost a lot of soldiers there, even though the screen didn't tell me how many I lost. Now we are up to 27,000 tax base, so we're actually about to overtake them. Only 5,000 difference between the two of us. We're definitely going to be overtaking them soon. Those lacquerware that we've been spamming make a massive difference. And I really mean a massive difference, like a brother. This stuff's just crazy. I'm going to spam a lot of it in my core area too, just because even though I don't have the population right now there, eventually people will migrate into this area because it's the best area in my country. If you thought the Little Ice Age is bad, well, the winter of 1708 was even worse on top of the Little Ice Age. And we get for 2 years Great Frost, which basically destroys our output of rice, wheat, maize, food production minus 100%, population growth minus 2% for 2 years. So this basically means we will lose a lot of population. It is really bad. I tried to get as much stocks as possible of food because I knew this would happen, right? But I still don't think I'm going to have enough, so I'm probably going to lose a few million pops. Let's hope that doesn't happen, though. Look at this, though. Every single market is massively losing right now. Holy shit. Some markets had issues from before, like the Novgorod and the Kiev market, which we just didn't have enough food, but now it's going to get a lot worse. Take note, maize output is also here, so the only thing you could do to save yourself from this is have a lot of potatoes, have a lot of other these three types of goods, basically, to get food. Problem with that is that we don't have potatoes. We still still don't have potatoes. We don't have the ability to spread potatoes from the New World, which is very, very unfortunate. Also, speaking of the New World, check this out, guys. Sweden has basically the United States areas, and the Kingdom of Scotland's got the colony of Nagaragadugudu, with the English having the Canadian parts, and most of the natives actually surviving in Central America. The Spaniards have definitely not touched any of this area. On the other hand, in the south, the Portuguese grabbed all of south tip here, including all of the Argentinian parts, not just the Brazilian bits. And it's happening. Look at the amount of units we're losing. 40,000 people lost this month alone. This is not good. This is really, really not good. I'm curious how many pops we're going to lose. So we were at 35 million. Let's see what we finish with in 2 years. So we now have the ability to start building the Ostrogs. Remember that special building that I told you about, which you get 10% max control, lowered proximity cost minus 10%, garrison size plus 100, and the best part is you actually get soldiers when you build this up, which is crazy. Now I actually could build it pretty much all rural locations, but I just don't have enough peasants. In fact, most of my locations I don't have peasants for. Like, it's kind of insane that I've literally ran out of peasants. How does one even run out of peasants, as Russia's beyond me? Also, I forgot to bring up the Duma for quite some time, so I think it's time we do that. And overall, from the 1708 Little Ice Age, we didn't really get that many pops dead. I think we lost like 400,000 or so, but we're catching back up now. We're gonna be back up to 35 million soonish. The end of the Little Ice Age. Finally, we got rid of that horrible situation, and we're also finally able to reconquer the lands that we lost previously to Oirats, that became Great Yuan, that became a Buran. I don't even know what to call them anymore, but it's back under our control, so now we can restore it to Muscovite culture. We were in the process of making it Muscovite, and then it started getting back to Oirat, unfortunately. Also going to continue to spread a little bit some more maize in the Siberian parts, because usually in this area what's very, very lacking is food. So if we get maize here, that's an easy source of food for all of these lands. Northern Yuan actually still exists, so we got two Northern Yuans. We have Northern Yuan proper and the Clergy Rebellion Civil War that they've got. Nice. We have to attack them twice, I guess, but literally one single location. We did grab a little bit more of lands in the Middle East, so we're gonna have to create some more subjects here. Antioch is one of the holy places for the Orthodox religion, so getting this finally under Orthodox control is a pretty big deal for us. And I want to show you guys how much we've got now Orthodoxy around the world. We're up to 67 million Orthodox pops. By comparison, there's close to 100 million Sunnis, about 160 Catholics, and about 33 million Lutherans, with Xinjiao being 166 and Hindu being 171, the largest group of religion. Overall though, considering the usual situation, I'd say we did pretty good with Orthodoxy. We could have been a lot worse, trust me. Population wise, we've got 50 million Muscovite pops straight up, which is wild. Wu is, I believe, 50 something, 56 million. So we're actually catching up to Wu. Once we enforce our culture on the Siberian lands that we took from Wu, we should actually overtake Wu itself. Also need to continue to upgrade a lot of these to cities. I kind of been slacking a little bit when it comes to min-maxing my cities, and I know I said at the beginning of the video that I'm gonna do my best to min-max, but I've been watching this new Game of Thrones series, and honestly it's pretty good, man. So I've been watching that on my second monitor whilst recording this. It's kind of wild the amount of cities we have right now, and some of these are naturally growing. Kazan's at 56,000 pops by itself without encouraging migration or anything of the sorts. Even here in Circassia, we've got like 4-5 cities that we can upgrade straight up, and they're actually pretty high population. 50,000, that one. That actually is kind of crazy. Maybe I need to start spreading out in this area here with building up more things. 32,000 pops. Yeah, we definitely need to start using up the population here. Right now we've got about 22 million laborers and 7 million peasants, but our core area is kind of all dried up of peasants right now. Wow, that actually surprises me. Up north, Navolok actually has 30,000 natural growth. That is crazy. Also, we've got modern roads pretty much everywhere at this point. So if we go to the proximity map mode, this is insane. Like, this is with modern roads. This is not with railways, guys. With railways, we're gonna have basically close to 90% proximity here. Like right now we've got what? We've got 20% at the extremity, but that's because the roads haven't finished. So as you can see here, it's struggling to finish. Once the roads are finished here, it's probably going to be like 30-40% all the way here with modern roads. I mean, it is basically 41% at the extremities here, 47, depending on which connection they take and how many locations it goes through. But the point is that it is absolutely wild, the proximity, which in turn means we've got an insane amount of 100 core areas, and then around the rest of the country, it's really high. Like the average is 70 control in the rest of the country, and we haven't even built all of the control buildings yet. We've barely built any, to be fair. Also, I gotta say, I'm surprised that Wu was as weak as it was during the war. I expected a little bit more of a challenge. We've even overtaken them with our tax base already, so I'm gonna say that this is the end of this particular run. I'm finishing this a little bit earlier than I expected. I was expecting to go all the way into the 1800s, but we already achieved everything by 1716, which is insane. I will continue this campaign, just not recorded. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue to 1836 as a part-time thing, because I actually enjoyed this run, to be honest. So I want to see what I do all the way to 1836, and maybe I'll record, but I don't know if I'll actually edit that one. If we get 4,000 likes in this video, I might do it. I don't think we'll get that though, because patch 1.1's literally about to come out today or tomorrow, and obviously this is obsolete by that point. So what I'm thinking is I will do a director's cut, and in the director's cut I also put in the last part what the game looks like in 1836 when I finish it, so that way you guys get to see the last 100 years in the director's cut pretty much. Let me know if you want to see the director's cut, if you like that idea. And I hope you enjoyed this run. I actually had an insane amount of fun, and I'm going to continue to have fun with this. Maybe I'll even stream it a little bit and you guys can watch on stream if you want. Love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.